Fox 8 takes you inside the Atlanta home where police found Derek Groves with exclusive video of the crawl space police say he was hiding in. Groves' arrest yesterday ended a nearly 5-month manhunt for the last of the 10 inmates who escaped the Orleans jail. Good evening, I'm John Snell.
And I'm Liz Reyes. Gabby Killett is live in Atlanta with a look inside the house and what Groves said today in court.
I got a first-hand look of this hole that Derek Groves, the Orleans Parish jail escapee, the last one to return to custody 10 out of 10, was hiding in when Atlanta SWAT, U.S. Marshals came yesterday to arrest him at this home on Honeysuckle Lane in southwest Atlanta, Georgia. Now, in the home was drug paraphernalia, a bullet, children's shoes, wigs, clothing, buckets and tinctures labeled with the names of flavors in that crawl space was right around a basement apartment almost, where there was a refrigerator and a bed that was propped up, that had been propped up as far as that search. Now, authorities did track Derek Groves to this home on Honeysuckle Lane nearly 5 months after authorities say the 4-time convicted killer climbed through a hole behind a jailhouse toilet and scaled a fence to escape from the Orleans Justice Center. Now, Derek Groves was in court. He waived his extradition this morning. He said that he was ready to go home.
As well, you also have the right to remain silent. So let me just ask, though, if you have any questions about your extradition rights. Now, and do you want to challenge extradition, or do you want to return to Louisiana?
I want to return where I'm from.
And the home's owner on Honeysuckle Lane, Richard McQueen, did let us inside to see this hole that Derek Groves was hiding in. And most of the home's entrances here in southwest Atlanta had been breached, and the home itself really completely trashed. Now, McQueen did tell us the tenant that was renting from him was a young woman. He said he wasn't sure when exactly she started renting the property because he had been out of town.
They paid rent. I treat them as a regular customer, as a regular occupant. I don't know nothing about their background. All I know is that they look like, where you get this kind of money from? It was just, they struck me kind of strange.
I read about it and saw it on TV, but that was New Orleans, not across the street.
And investigators did say Wednesday night that they believed other people were staying in this home with Groves, and that they said they would face charges if they find that they aided and abetted him in this escape. Now, Mrs. Clements, we spoke with, has lived on this street for 55 years. She says there was suspicious activity at the house where they found Groves, and that she first noticed it a couple of months ago. She says that when U.S. Marshals and Atlanta SWAT teams brought him back into custody on Wednesday, it was a spectacle. They told her to go back inside when she had gone to her curb to try to get her newspaper. Again, in court Thursday morning, Derek Groves says he waives his extradition, and a judge does tell him that means that Louisiana authorities will be in Atlanta. They have 15 days to pick him up. He can be held for up to 30 days. But for now, we will have live updates as they become available. Reporting live in Atlanta, Gabby Killett, Fox 8, Local First.
Hey, yo, what up, my 1751 family? It's your boy, Mr. 1751, tapping in, man. For those of you who have already smashed and subscribed, I'd like to send, a big thank you out to all y'all, man, because y'all support is very much appreciated, man. It helped this channel go a long way. For those of you who have yet to smash and subscribe, go on over, smash, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell notification while you at it, so you'll be amongst the first to get these videos as I upload. Anyway, today we're going to be following up on a story that we've been following quite a bit a few months ago, right? About the New Orleans jailbreak. We had 10 inmates, 10 New Orleans Parish jailhouse inmates who somehow managed to slip through a cell that was being maintenance. They end up moving the toilet sink combination thing. They end up moving that and finding their way out through through the walls and vanishing from there, all 10 of them. And as the months passed, there's one particular inmate, one particular escapee that remained on the loose, you know, unable to find. Now, they didn't got all the other guys early on. You know, there was one more guy, there was one more inmate as well that you know, managed to stay out here for a while. For a lot of you who've been following this channel, y'all know because we covered that story as well. You know, but this guy, Derrick Groves, has an interesting background, man. You know, from, you know, his grandmother being killed by a dirty cop, you know, who ordered the hit on her, you know, for her giving information about something, you know, on these officers. And this happened before Derrick Groves was even born, right?
This department in America had a more richly deserved reputation for incompetence, corruption, and brutality than the New Orleans Police Department.
Kim Groves shot and killed in front of her home in October of 1994.
Former police officer Lynn Davis ordered a hitman to kill a New Orleans mother.
He said Derrick came across to her as a normal kid, despite his grandmother being killed by a hitman on the orders of New Orleans police officer Len Davis.
27-year-old Derrick Groves is one of the 5 escaped inmates, and he's still at large tonight. It is forcing witnesses into hiding. Ironically, he has a deep connection to one of the most notorious killings in New Orleans history. His grandmother was executed on order of corrupt cop Len Davis.
However, for a young black man to have to face the fact that the same people that's sworn in to serve and protect you have involvement in your grandmother no longer being here, you know, 'cause she was tragically gunned down by a hitman who was hired by a police officer, right? Now, the backstory on this guy, Derrick Groves, who just been captured, leads, you know, it kind of explains why this guy has had a troubled life. You know, when the people that's, like I said, sworn in to serve and protect you, you can't even trust them. But yeah, this guy, he's been on the run for quite a bit. You know, there's been a lot of speculation about, a lot of people were saying they think he left the country, which I said, I always said from the beginning, and I maintain that I don't believe this guy made out the country. You know, this guy would have to be a genius, man, you know, to actually get through that airport or whatever to try to get out of this country. You know, being as hot and high profile this case is. You know, because out of all 10 of these inmates, Derrick Groves was the only one that was convicted, 4-time convicted, murder. You know, so he already know his fate is sealed. You know, so it made a lot of sense for him to escape. But some of these guys, they were in there on petty charges, and they seen the opportunity, and they took their chances. And they add a little more, you know, a little more time onto their sentence, new charges, you know. But you know how they say, man, peer pressure. You know, when you hang around certain people, you do certain things. A lot of us do certain things when we hang around certain people. You know, we're easily influenced, right? And I believe a lot of those guys that were a part of this escape, which the authorities are saying Derrick Groves was the mastermind behind this whole escape, right? I don't know how true that is. Could be true, maybe not. But they said that this guy was, you know, one of the masterminds behind this escape, right? I don't remember what the other guy's name is. What is his name? Antoine Massey. Okay? Now, Antoine Massey was also an escape artist. He's the other one that managed to stay out longer than, you know, the other 8 who were captured early on. Antoine Massey also has an escape history. He's escaped, I think they said about 4 or 5 times He escaped from juvenile. He escaped from adult prisons, adult jailhouses. The guys, he's slippery. He's slippery to say the least, man. So there was no reason for these guys to be sitting on the first floor of a county jailhouse, knowing that they're so high profile and they're a flight risk, right? But these type of things happen, man. The system, they fuck up, they fail, and a lot of times when they fail, there's a price to pay to the media. They have to explain to the media how does this even happen? I mean, you guys run a jail. I mean, there's no way the inmates should be able to discover an escape route. In a way that this whole thing, the way all this came about, man, it's always been suspicious to me from the beginning. But here we are, man. Here we are. Like I said, man, for a lot of y'all who've been rocking with this channel, y'all know that we've been covering this story with each inmate since they escaped. We've been covering these stories with each inmate as they was captured. And we also discovered that many of these guys had girlfriends, that was helping them. A few of these guys was messing with, staff at the jailhouse, and somehow convinced them, that it would be a good idea if they was to help them to escape and to get them away from the prison, get them away from the jail, get them in some new clothes and, hide them at their houses and shit like that, right? But like I said, for those of you who've been following this story with me, man, there's been about 7, 8 people, accomplices, people who thought that it would be a good idea to help these guys, man, to remain free. With all the news press, all the frustration that you can see in the eyes and the faces of the authority, the mayor's involved, the police commissioners involved, through all the frustration, you can see the county blaming it on the state blaming it on the county, the county saying that the state should have been came and picked them up, like I said, Derrick Groves was a 4-time convicted murderer, right? Which usually when you have a person that high profile, the state don't waste no time coming to pick them up from the county so they can ship them out into the mountains where they likely have no chance of escaping, right? It's time to go start your new life. For some reason, Derrick Groves remained in that county jailhouse, directly across the highway from the community. Understand that. But it was quite interesting that he lasted this long, man. He's been on a run for nearly 6 months. Quiet as sound. No one heard a peep. They had a $50,000 reward out for this guy's arrest. And people, it was a lot of speculation, people saying that the guy grew his hair out, grew a beard. You had other people speculation saying that, he switched his whole appearance. He's appearing as a woman now, and people said all kind of things, man. They showed pictures all over social media, of different images of people that's supposed to look like this guy, and there was a lot of speculation of people saying, Derrick Groves' appearance is totally different than what we know, than what we seen in those first mug shots, right? But now that all this has come to an end, we see that none of that was the truth. None of it was a fact. Derrick Groves didn't even do as much as throw a wig on his head and throw some glasses on, try to cover his face. But to my surprise, man, when I see this video, it's like he don't look no different. He look like he just lost he lost a few pounds. He lost a few pounds. Probably by not being able to eat as good as he would like. All that running, and stressing. Because a guy like that, man, well, it's either life or death. When they finally catch up to you, you may not have a chance. All it takes is a trigger happy white boy, man. That already know, man, that he can pluck you, man, and get away with it. You're already a villain, man. You're already the enemy of the state. You understand? So it wouldn't have been it would have likely not been any consequences if one of those officers would have plugged him. If one of those officers would have put a bullet in him, there likely would have been no consequences, man. The police department, they back their officers even when they know they're wrong, man. When these officers kill good people, the police department stands up for their officers, man. It's sad to say, man, but law enforcement is the biggest gang in the world, man. All over the world. They're the biggest gang, man. The boys in blue, man. But yeah, man, they found this guy. They just found this guy, man, in Atlanta, Georgia, right? They just found this man in Georgia, in a community, in a quiet community, right? Where they say they got a tip, and they followed up on that tip, and once they follow up that tip, they rammed they rammed one of those trucks that they use. They rammed through someone's door, destroyed the property. They said Derrick Groves was hiding in the crosshairs of the house. He was hiding in an area of the house where they likely wouldn't have found him if they didn't send K9 into that residence.
But they found him in the crawl space right here. He was hiding out. I don't know how he managed to stay here because they threw those gas canisters in. This is one of those gas canisters. And we're even having trouble in here right now. This is 2 days later. We still.
Now, they say that the K9 found Derrick Groves. And as they pulled him out, he doesn't seem to be too upset. He didn't appear to be upset at all, man. It almost seemed like he got a sigh of relief. He was tired of running. Although he was home, he was out here. He was tired of running, cause the quality of life, man, being on the run where you can't do anything, it's just, it's not a fun life to live. And then, some of you may have saw the interview where Woody, YSL Woody, the snitch, the YSL snitch, one of the YSL snitches, there was a video where YSL Woody claimed that he saw Derrick Groves in the club. He saw him in the club the night before, this whole raid, right? And he said Derrick Groves was in there partying, dancing. And YSL Woody said, he said to his homeboy, yo, ain't that the boy YSL Woody? He said to his homeboy, ain't that the boy Derrick Groves that's supposed that, the jailhouse escapee? And he said his homeboy was like, no, that ain't him. And he said that he knew it was him. But he just went on about his night, and the next day they captured Derrick Groves, and YSL Woody said, I knew that was that motherfucker. I knew it was him. I seen him in the club.
Me and my buddy was in the club with him. And y'all know I played you. I was like, hey, they escaped from New Orleans prison right there. They holler like, nah, that ain't him. I'm like, bro, that is him. He like, that ain't him. Man, I be wake up the next day with him. Didn't they have like a $50,000 reward out for this? Man, I would have told him, hey, bro, look, I'm put 10,000 on your account. Nigga. You need to go turn yourself in. Cause you just in the club, just chilling. You ain't got no mission. You ain't got that. That's how you know the CIA. That's how you know the CIA, y'all. Don't let these folks fool y'all.
So if that's true, that means this guy Derrick Groves, man, he was still moving around, man. He was shaking and moving, doing his own thing, man. You know, doing his thing, man, on a run. You know, anybody, if that was true, that was probably his, you know, that was probably his celebration before going back in. You know, there's a very big possibility that whoever gave that tip is going to be investigated as well. You know, they would rather not pay this money out. They would rather not cut that $50,000 check. You know, so whoever gave that tip that led to Derrick Groves' arrest, they will be investigated before they get a dollar from law enforcement, right? Because the possibility is too high that Derrick Groves may have planned, you know, this event. You know, he may have planned this. You know, because that would have been a smart thing to do. You can't run forever, but what you can do is get somebody, have somebody turn you in, have somebody give a tip. You know, have somebody that you know, give them a tip to catch you, whereas though they can get the money and somehow make sure you straight. It ain't got to be hand to hand, but once you back in that prison, once you go up in the mountains, you're gonna need some money, right? You're gonna need some support. So it would have been a smart thing to have somebody give that tip and collect the money and take care of you, you know, through different sources. Not you know, y'all know what I mean. Not straight up, you know, but through different sources, so that it's not clear, you know, where the money is actually coming from. But yeah, man, like I told y'all, man, I will be updating on this issue because we've been following this case for quite a long time, man. You know, with all these inmates as they, you know, from the escape to the time they was apprehended, and all the people who was connected, you know, because a major question that FBI and law enforcement is asking is, how did Derrick Groves get from New Orleans to Atlanta? How did he get there? He obviously didn't fly. So they're saying 9 times out of 10, someone drove him there. Someone was harboring a fugitive, and they would like to know who that person is or who those persons is, because obviously he had some help to get around, to stay undercover. You know, for him to be on the run for nearly 6 months, trust me, he definitely had he's definitely had some help. That's a fact. You know, he can't go to the store. He had to send someone to the store. You know, so it's there's a lot of things. There's a lot of you know, twists to the story, man. You know, but like I said, man, you know, I'm going to be keeping you guys updated on this case as I get more information. We're going to break it down, you know, and we're going to keep it official, man. Keep it 100, because that's how we do on this channel, man. For those of you who know, who've been following me, who've been reviewing these videos with me, man, y'all know how we do it. You know what I'm saying? We don't put anything out there that we don't know to be the truth. And if I so happen to make a mistake and give some false information, y'all know any one of you viewers have a right to go in the comments and correct me. And I will likely make a correction in these videos, because I'm not the one, you know, to put out false narratives about anything or anyone. Anyway, it's your boy, Mr. 1751, bringing you another 1751 review. And until next time, hey, if you enjoy watching videos like these, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe. Help your boy get into the algorithm so that I can continue to bring you more videos just like the one you just watched. Anyway, until next time, y'all stay up.
And look at this video. It shows SWAT officers leading Derek Groves out of that home in handcuffs. Good afternoon. I'm Liz Reyes.
And I'm Lauren McCoy. Derek Groves was the last of the 10 inmates captured after they escaped from the Orleans Parish Jail in May. We look at the role Crime Stoppers played in his recapture, what's next now that he's in custody, and how DEA says Groves' luck finally ran out.